On the 7th April 2022, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture started conducting interviews with various community members about renowned journalist Khaba Mkhize. The project is one of the many oral history endeavors that the department is currently working on. Khaba Mkhize was the former editor of the Echo newspaper from 1985 to 1991, when the civil war between Inkatha and the United Democratic Front, aligned with the ANC, was at its height. He was also former assistant editor of the Natal Witness, now known as The Witness, the newspaper in Pietermaritzburg. He also served as the regional manager of the SABC in KwaZulu-Natal. During this period, Khaba, a narrator of note, was the go-to man for journalists, academics, and politicians from around the world who wanted to understand what was going on. He used his newspaper, a weekly tabloid that served townships in the Midlands, as a vehicle to try to bring the warring sides close together. This meant walking dangerously fine line. Any perception that he or his newspaper were on one side or the other could be an instant death warrant. At the time, he mentioned, "I have to teach both sides about newspapers, objectivity. I have to do it very, very, very carefully." He said at the time, "You have to watch out if they don't like what you have to say." He regarded himself as a top candidate for political assassination. His chances of survival fluctuated with his editorials. Few days passed without Inkatha or UDF supporters angrily confronting him about something he had written. In 18 months, he changed his car 14 times. Towards the end of 1988, the newspaper believed his life to be in danger after he was publicly denounced at an Inkatha rally and received death threats. Mkhize wrote regular columns for the Natal Witness and Frontline magazine, in which he used the idiosyncratic style of his model, legendary drum magazine writer Casey Kid Motsisi, to provide an offbeat but chilling insight into how the war affected people in the townships. He told the readers how Mr. Average Smoker could no longer puff in peace on his way to work. Comrades have banned smoking in buses. How Mr. Average Soccer Fan could no longer watch his favorite team because the stadium was in enemy territory. He wrote about the average chatterer who had to be careful of the political connotations attached to his words. The average nurse who faced attack because the hospital where she worked was associated with the Inkatha control. And the average shop owner whose life was threatened by all sides because he sold to all sides. Then there was average journalist who must satisfy each camp that he is not a propagandist for the other. People, he wrote, did not understand the stress and the tightrope for those like himself trying to report on the conflict and stay alive. Mr. Average Journalist had to put on a face of boldness, yet deep down inside, his human mechanism lay a fear. Mr. Average Journalist had to devise a set of disguises in order to survive the harsh, violent season. Mkhize was born on May 30th, 1946 in Durban's Claremont Township. For most of the 70s, he worked as a site clerk for a building contractor, but wrote sufficient letters to various local newspapers for the Witness to offer him a job in 1978 when it started to employ black journalists. He was involved in starting the Echo in 1979 and became editor in 1985, shortly before P.W. Botha imposed the state of emergency that would last for 6 years. In 1991, he was appointed assistant editor of The Witness. He won the Commonwealth Fellowship for Journalists in 1995 and had high tea with Queen Elizabeth at Buckingham Palace. In 1996, he was appointed general manager of the SABC in KwaZulu-Natal. He joined Capital Newspapers in the mid-2000s and co-founded AA2, which is the largest circulation Zulu community tabloid in KwaZulu-Natal. He won the 2009 Vodacom Lifetime Journalism Award. Mkhize wrote a number of plays, one of which, Pietermaritzburg, in 1989. It won South Africa's prestigious AA Vita Award. Mkhize, who had several strokes since 2008, collapsed and died at his home in Pietermaritzburg on 25 July 2016.